Has the presence of rocky groynes increased beach stability at Branksome Chine? The groynes themselves began construction on the 24th of November 2008 and finished construction on the 5th of May 2009. These groynes consist of 5 Portland limestone groynes that vary in length between 45 metres and 75 metres from west to east, and their construction plan followed a beach replenishment plan from 2006 to 2007. Together, they constitute about 20,000 tonnes of rock. Now, why is beach stability important? According to a study done by the UN, about 40% of global population lives in coastal areas. That's within 100 kilometers of a coast. On top of that, eustatic sea level rise, which is global sea level rise, is steadily increasing with anthropogenic input and is also increasing the rates of coastal erosion. To follow that up, groynes are one of the most important methods we have at our disposal for adapting to growing coastal erosion. Now, what is beach stability? In earlier papers, it's defined as the defining variables of a beach reaching a state of dynamic equilibrium and avoiding long-term impacts. But in more recent papers, they define it amongst 3 parameters: oceanographic, design, and adaptability parameters. We'll be focusing on the design parameters as they're the physical beach aspects, but most importantly, the topographic. So topographic refers to the beach profiles or the elevation. To get this data, I went to coastalmonitoring.org and used the differential GPS data, or DGPS. I put this data in scatter plots in order to obtain a mean gradient or slope to the beach using a linear regression. And I compared these means from before 2009, when the construction was finished of the groynes, and after 2009 to see whether it had impacted the stability. From this, I compared these gradients and made a rate of change in elevation per month in millimeters and rate of change in days in micrometers, which will follow very quickly. Into the analysis. On the left, you see a table of mean change in elevation walking seawards, that is down the beach. And according to that, or next to that, the dates that the DGPS data was acquired. And the graph next to it is the corresponding plot. Now, the first 4 points are the dates 2006 to 2009, 2009 being the minimum on the graph. And from that point onwards, there's a steady oscillating growth, so decrease in gradient because we're in the negatives, which I will get. Continuing that is the rate of changes. The first 3 columns being in the negative, and the only positive rate of changes appearing after the year 2009, that being despite the extreme negative rate of changes in the latter years, notably from 2020 to 2021. Now, onto my conclusions. An increase in erosion causes beach retreat and lowering of the beach, which can be characterized as the steepening of the beach. And the steeper beach has a more direct angle of impact from incoming waves, which causes greater erosion due to the increased pressure. Hence, you can characterize a gentler beach slope as having less erosion, whereas a steeper beach slope, or gradient even, has more erosion occurring. Now, as we observed, the beach slope at Branksome Chine steadily increases after the year 2009. Hence, we can say that it's becoming more stable as there's less erosion. On top of that, the rate of change monthly and daily only becomes positive after the year 2009, which indicates a sort of reaching the equilibrium that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Hence, we can imply that it's also becoming more stable after the groynes. Now, the limitations of the study are the limited range of data because of the beach nourishment plan I mentioned at the beginning, and that invalidating all the data beforehand because it doesn't match the rest, as well as the data being more precise and more data points in the latter years because of more equipment availability, I reckon, and greater teams of researchers who are able to capture more data. The applications of the study are that in face of greater storms and bigger erosion occurring because of climate change, as I said at the beginning, there'll be an increased urgency in adaptation techniques to preserve coastal settlements and infrastructure. And on top of that, the use of topographic data in the way that I demonstrated in today's presentation could be an accurate way of determining whether or not a mitigation technique is useful in the long or short term.